Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to Books and Bites. I am Mrs. Sorensen, first grade teacher at Hamilton.
Why do you always
I don't know.
introduce yourself?
All right, we don't
They've
have to
seen
introduce
us
us.
like 8 times.
I mean, I don't know if they're tuning in every day. At any rate,
I'm
hi, nice
I'm
to
Ring
see you
Sorensen.
all.
I'm Ring Sorensen.
Where do you go to school, Ring Sorensen?
Here.
Very good. We have, as always, we have a poem and a book for you today.
We're gonna read it upside
The
down.
visual on this one is good. So this one is called Oops. Should I show them the visual first?
No, after.
All right, we'll show you the visual after. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Mom. Hi, Providence Country Day. Nice to see you. All right, so let's get started. This poem by Shel Silverstein, as all of our poems have been so far. We're making our way through these books that we have.
Even if they're different books, they're still Shel Silverstein.
True, that's true. This one is called Oops. Ring, take it away.
Upside down and forward.
I think try this way first, and then we'll
Okay.
take the other way.
Down. Wait, okay.
Here, switch it over. Go ahead.
Down, upside, out come all poems. My found I can't but try to. I around all them turn not can't I down upside out
Out. Mm-hmm.
out upside out out all out come all poems my.
Ring, what are you talking about? That didn't make any sense. What? That was just seemed like a bunch of words. It did rhyme. I noticed that, but I didn't really understand it. What do you think we should do? Okay, read it the opposite way now.
My poems all come out upside down. I can't turn them all around. I do try, but can't I found my poems all come out upside down.
And now the piece of the visual. So here, this
He's
is a
upside down, so it kind of makes sense that he can't turn his poems around.
It does.
But
It's like,
do you get it? He can't turn his poems around.
he's got to turn his body around maybe, and then his poems will turn out the other way.
No, he just needs to get up. He just needs to
Get off the
stop.
tree. I think this is a really cool visual because it rhymes both ways. It rhymes if you go down, and it rhymes if you read it up. And then I think it's just kind of cool.
I
when-
noticed that.
Yeah, I think it's neat when poems sort of use the words to sort of make a picture. I think that's kind of cool. All right, so thank you. Excellent reading. And hello, everyone. And then the book I'm going to be reading today is one of my favorites. It's called Chrysanthemum by Kevin Hankes. And
Wait, is this the one with the baby?
no, different one, but a great one also.
I like the baby one.
That is a good one.
She's like tries to get her out.
Mm-hmm. So I am a big fan of this book.
This is the baby one.
Well, she starts out as a baby, but let's find out. Let's see what happens in Chrysanthemum. Without further ado. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. She's perfect, said her mother. Absolutely, said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect.
No, I think this is the fancy one. She's the one with the...
Her name must be everything she is, her mother said. Her name must be absolutely perfect, said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew, and when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name.
Oh yeah, this is the one without the name.
Mm-hmm. She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up, Chrysanthemum. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her in for dinner, Chrysanthemum. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror, Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum.
Good reading, Chrysanthemum.
It does. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written in ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. She loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with her fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum. You can say that part if you want. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect. And then she started school. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress and her brightest smile, and she ran all the way to school. Hooray, said Chrysanthemum, school! But when Mrs. Chudd took roll call, everyone giggled upon hearing Chrysanthemum's name. And these are the kids in her class. Mrs. Chud.
Oh, and see if you can find chrysanthemum.
Let's see if we can do it. Dawn, Eve, Lois, Al,
Eve.
Les, Kay, Max, Sue, Bill, Pat, Tom, Sam, Ken, Joe, Rita, Victoria, chrysanthemum. What did you notice that was different about chrysanthemum, Sam?
It's down instead of up.
Yeah. What about what about the size of her name? Because I'm looking here and it's like Al, Les, K, Max, chrysanthemum. It doesn't fit on her picture. It's a long name.
Where's it?
It's so long, said Joe. It scarcely fits on your name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. You're named after a flower. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chud that chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet, explained Victoria. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria. It is true, said Mrs. Chud. Now put down your head. If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said, as the students lined up to go home. I wish I could, thought Victoria miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long, it scarcely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower. Oh, pish, said her mother. Your name is beautiful. And precious and priceless and fascinating and winsome, said her father. It's everything you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her dinner, her favorite dinner of macaroni and cheese with ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi.
I love parcheesi.
You do love parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was an extremely pleasant dream. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria as Chrysanthemum entered the playground.
If you think about that, that's kind of a compliment.
I mean, I don't. Do you
it
think she?
Depends on how you say it.
That's true. Do you think Victoria meant it as a compliment?
No.
I don't know. Let's pick her, said Rita, pointing. Let's smell her, said Joe. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful.
Yeah.
The rest of the day was... Oops, I forgot to show you the picture.
It like repeats itself over.
It does. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, a chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Judd. Now put your head down. I just cannot believe your name, Victoria said as the students lined up to go home. Neither can I, thought Chrysanthemum miserably.
Having a name isn't that big of a deal.
I'm with you on that. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. They said I look like a flower. They pretended to pick me and smell me. Oh, pish, said her mother. They're just jealous. Envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced, said her father. Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours, said her mother. After all, it's absolutely perfect.
I'm actually kind of jealous.
It's a good name. You have a good name, too. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favorite dessert, chocolate cake with buttercream frosting, and another evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi.
Buttercream frosting might sound like it's kind of disgusting, but it's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good if you actually tried it. If you actually tried it on cake.
I agree. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals, and Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals off one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. Chrysanthemum, 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 the flowers seemed to say.
Is that a picture?
It is a picture of chrysanthemum.
It kind of looks like a daisy.
It does a little bit. That morning, the students were introduced to Mrs. Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was something out of a dream, as was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought Mrs. Twinkle was an indescribable wonder. They went out of their way to make a nice impression. Mrs. Twinkle led the students in scales. La 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 la. Then she assigned roles for the class musical. Victoria was chosen as the dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger. And Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy, which is a flower.
That is kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Chrysanthemum's a daisy, chrysanthemum's a daisy, Jo, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking it was wildly funny. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. What's so humorous? Asked Mrs. Twinkle. Chrysanthemum was the answer. Her name is so long, said Jo. It scarcely fits on her name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. She's named after a flower.
Oh wait, is this a music teacher or the regular teacher?
Their music teacher.
No, is it the music teacher or the regular teacher that says that I have a name?
The music teacher. My name is Long, said Mrs. Twinkle. It is, said Jo. My name would scarcely fit on a name tag, said Mrs. Twinkle. It would, Rita said, pointing. And, said Mrs. Twinkle, I'm named after a flower too. You are? Said Victoria. Yes, said Mrs. Twinkle. My name is Delphinium, Delphinium Twinkle, and if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as a name. I think it's absolutely perfect. Chrysanthemum could barely believe her ears. She blushed, she beamed, she bloomed. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum! Jo, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. Call me Marigold, said Jo. I'm Carnation, said Rita. My name is Lily of the Valley, said Victoria. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. Overall, the class musical was a huge success. Chrysanthemum was absolutely perfect as a daisy. Victoria only made one mistake. She completely forgot her lines as the dainty fairy queen. Chrysanthemum thought it was wildly funny, and she giggled throughout the dance of the flowers. Eventually, Mrs. Twinkle gave birth to a healthy baby girl, and of course, she named her
Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum. I like that one.
I knew it. I knew it showed her. I knew it showed her.
Ah, the baby, is that what you meant?
Yeah, it showed her. It showed the baby.
Very good. You have an interesting name too. I don't know anyone else with that name.
I have two names.
You do.
I don't know which one to put.
On that note, we're so glad you came to join us today, everybody. Have a lovely day, and we will see you here tomorrow at 1 o'clock.